Hey guys, it's the Captain here for another episode of The Captain Meets, and I'm here today with a lovely chap called Ariel Posen, who I've kind of met through a guy who I interviewed earlier this year called Joey Landreth, who everybody who's met Joey in the UK has fallen in love with him and loves the band and all that kind of stuff. And I am, quickly falling in love with Ariel as well, in an entirely appropriate way, obviously. So what brings you over to these fine shores? And
well,
the band aren't here, are they? You're just sort of...
The band is not here. The band actually, it's separate to why I'm here, but coincidentally, we just finished literally a 3-year cycle of the record Let It Lie. So that just finished 2 weeks ago. We finished, and we're just kind of taking a long pause for a while. And coincidentally, like I said, my wife is going to school in Ireland.
Yeah.
So I am now living in Cork, Ireland.
Very cool.
Which is only a hop, skip, and a jump away from here.
Well, relatively speaking, for all you Canadians out there, you'll be thinking, yeah, that's like 2 minutes away. Obviously, for over here, we'll be going, it's not even in the same country. But
yeah. To me, it's that right next door.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking.
So, I'm a massive fan of all the Brothers Landreth kind of stuff, and it's really interesting to see, some of the playing that you've already done and how, stylistically, it is a unique. Is it unique? That might be a bit over the top, but it's an unusual approach. There's lots of fabulous chords in there, and so. Let's go back to kind of like the young Ariel.
Okay.
So. I think everybody always wants to know, how did your guitar journey begin?
Well, it started, both my parents are musicians. My dad's a bass player, singer, and my mom's a piano player, accordion player, singer. Mm-hmm. And they had a band. They still actually have a band. And they were touring when I was born. They would do festivals during the summers, and they would fly out to, Kentucky one weekend, next weekend here or there. They were always away, but they always kept J jobs. So for bringing us up, they did a very good job. They did a very good job on raising my brother and I. They didn't want to leave us alone.
Yeah.
But we went along to gigs with them a lot and got to travel. And right from the get-go.
What kind of band?
It's like it was actually a klezmer folk world, a little of everything.
Klezmer?
Yeah.
Never even heard that word before. Was that even?
Check it out. It's like old Eastern European type of music. Yeah.
Have you got sort of family heritage back from that, or is
Actually, I do.
So that's where it came, because the accordions obviously got that kind of Eastern European vibe.
Yeah. And I mean, the lineup is like guitar, banjo, violin, accordion, clarinet, saxophone, so a little of everything. Yeah. And I was actually drawn really to the clarinet at first, something about it. And so fast forward, I think I was 8 or 9, and my mom signed us up for piano lessons, and that was great. And I noticed, I guess I was 9 or 10, and all the boys in my class all started playing guitar, and they'd be like Green Day and Nirvana and Offspring and Soundgarden, and all these things were so huge then. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. So cool. So I started playing guitar. Long story short, they didn't last really past a year.
Oh, okay.
And I just got deeper and deeper.
Oh, you mean the other guys didn't?
The guys in my class.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And other than the band, it's not like my parents raised us on like, you need to listen to our music. Nothing like that at all. They raised us on the Beatles, actually. Yeah. And my brother and I just like, the first time we saw it, it was a Beatles anthology, which came out in 94, 95, I think. And we were just like, oh my God, blown away and studied it and took it all in, and it became like the Bible for music, you know, and everything is compared to that. Not, you know, it was just everything.
Do you think that's where some of the harmonies and the perhaps the intention to not just go for the obvious chord,
100%,
you know, find the different,
100%,
and that's all from that.
Well, Beatles would often like do. They'd always go to a major third.
Yeah.
And for some reason, whenever I hear that change or that chord change in any song in any setting, it always is just like, oh yeah, it's like a 1-3-6 minor progression or 1-3-4 progression always catches my ear.
I don't know what any of that means.
Sorry, like G B7 E minor or G B7 C. You know.
It's all right. They know I don't know what any of this means.
So that's where I started.
And you got a brother as well, and he was playing as well. So you had some.
He was playing piano
Okay.
along, and then he's extremely musical too. Like he sings as well. He's the kind of guy that could sit down at a piano and learn like a Mozart piece, study it for a month or two, and have it nailed, and then just like that's all he plays. He's never got interested in like, why do these chords work? What are these chords? These scales? How can I improvise? Yeah. Or he'll pick up a guitar and say, hey, look, I could play House of the Rising Sun. I don't know. That's just a random example, and he'll play the crap out of it.
Yeah.
But that's all he knows. I'm like, do you even know what you're playing? No, I just like that's the song. A minor C. That's all.
I've met a few guys that I've interviewed. Fun enough, a similar approach. You know, they're very, very creative, and they've got all these noises going on in their head and stuff. But they get it down to the point where they can do it note for note perfect.
Yeah.
But there's no real kind of like, do you know what you're doing, or what's, you know, could we maybe jam around something out of the box? Like, no, it's this. But so this takes you through what? So you know now by the time you're in your teens that guitar's an important part of your life.
Yeah, I actually started playing gigs when I was in Canada. It was grade 9. I don't know what that.
Yeah, how old does that mean?
Is it secondary school here?
The secondary is like 11 years old and upwards here. So.
Oh, okay. It was like first grade of high school.
Still doesn't mean anything. Just tell us how old you were. That's
I was like 14.
14.
I think I was 13 or 14, and I started getting gigs playing like wedding ceremonies.
Oh wow!
And you know, like wallpaper gigs at a party in the corner, no one's listening to. But you know, I started making some cash doing that.
And so, what was your first kind of, you know, the first guitar that you ever owned, or the first, you know, this first rig you ever owned where you thought, yeah, I've made it now.
Okay, well,
you know, at that age, kind of.
At that age, it was oh man, I think it was a trainer amp that was this big, you know.
Keeping it Canadian.
Keep it Canadian.
Yeah.
And it was an Ibanez RX series.
I could see you with that. I told you should have got a gem when we were
I know, right?
It's like, you know.
Would have been just like at home. And it was funny because it was my first electric. Obviously, when you're a kid, you want to start on electric.
Yeah.
And parents are like, start on acoustic. I used to teach a lot, and parents would always be like, yeah, a couple months of this. And really, it's easier to play electric. I don't know why they just don't start, but they...
That's always been the sort of British mentality of like, let's make it as hard as possible for you to learn the instrument, and then if you're kind of still capable of doing this, you know, if you haven't worn your fingers to the bone within 6 months, maybe we'll give you an instrument that's a bit easier.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, hang on. Surely it would be more sensible to do this the other way around, but whatever.
Yeah. So I got an Ibanez, and like my dad, we rented it. We didn't buy it. So, try it out, and a month went by. I was just jamming in my room to this crappy amp, and another month went by, and another month. Just month after month, and I think we're supposed to return it, and it just turned out we just bought it because I rented it so long, and that was my first selection.
And that. I mean, I think there's definitely a theme with guys that reach a level of ability that you've got. Which there's a it sounds to me like you kind of during your sort of teenage years, it was very much an eat, sleep, drink, guitar. That, and you've got to dedicate that time during.
Yeah, and if you could even ask my parents. There was times when I was living at home and young, I would come down for breakfast or dinner with the guitar on still, and I'd sit there. It was ridiculous. I'd eat dinner and I just had it on me, or go to the bathroom with it. I'm serious. We just kind of connected.
Is that why you learned to play with your strap up this high, so you could go to the bathroom at the same time as?
Yeah, exactly. Find the exact right height. Yeah, okay, there it is.
So when and this is were you in Winnipeg at the time? Is
Yeah.
this, so you're like born
and raised. I've lived there since 2 weeks ago, literally.
Right. Yeah. And so when did you feel like career-wise this, or wasn't it? Have you had normal jobs or?
Yeah, I've had a few normal jobs. First of all, my parents have always been supportive because they've seen firsthand it can be hard being a musician. They said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It can be a tough living. If you want to work, like, you really have to work hard, and you can work. You just need to really want it.
Yeah.
And do what you want, like, I had a few jobs. Like, in school, I didn't really care. I played a lot of basketball, actually, and then I was playing in band, and then I had some bands. And, I worked in a pizza shop, worked in a call center, delivered papers, awful jobs, all those things.
Yeah.
And they were all just horrible. I was just, what am I doing? And it wasn't really until, because in high school I did the odd gig here and there, and my bands would play shows, and then once in a while I'd have a paid gig. Yeah. And I did 1 year of university, and even my folks were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, we know you. Like, Are you sure you want to?" I was like, "Yeah. It's university. I'm done high school. I'm gonna have a new perspective. Like, I'm ready for this." And sure enough, I got there. I'm just like, what am I doing? Yeah. So then I slowly dropped out of each course by the end of the year, and just started playing full time. I was teaching a lot as well. Okay. And so it just progressed and grew the more people I met and friends I made.
And who was your who do you remember back from that time as being? I guess we could even go back into your teens a little bit. Who were the players that you were sort of buying listening to on the radio and trying to?
Yeah, well, like I said, when I first started playing, it was like Beatles and then like that grunge punk rock mid '90s area. So it was like a lot of rock, and Jimi Hendrix I was introduced to, and some Clapton. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it wasn't until actually it was like Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course, Robin Ford, but specifically Stevie. I heard that. I heard Couldn't Stand the Weather. And so it was like, I heard Scuttlebutton, the track Couldn't Stand the Weather, and Tin Pan Alley, that's slow blues. So there were like 3 different tones. It was like the aggressive signature Stevie Ray Vaughan, like breakup tone, and then like a really dirty univibe, Couldn't Stand the Weather thing. And then Tin Pan Alley was like crystal clean. I was like, oh my God, like you can do that. That's wow. So everything after I was doing before, I was like,
what came up on my Facebook page about a month ago? Was it like the 30th anniversary of his death or the 25th anniversary of his death or something? And you just go,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, he died in 2010. It would be his 26th.
So maybe it was the...
And it was just his birthday, actually.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe
it was just his birthday.
I just remember thinking, wow, that's a long time ago. And yet, I was a guy that I interviewed recently called Jack Garrett, who again he came up with his like Stevie Ray Vaughan. And he wasn't even born until after Stevie Ray Vaughan had died. And sort of go, that's a legacy of his influence, I guess, on any. I'm not sure that there can't be many guitar players in the world that at some point haven't had a little bit of a Stevie Ray kind of love affair.
I agree. And in fact, when I know that because his career was so short and he never got to modernize and evolve. He did evolve, but like in the 90s and the 2000s, everyone associates his one thing that he did, and it's become like a not mainstream, but everyone tries to do it. Everyone tries to go out of that. So everyone's like, oh yeah, you're just SRV licks. But it's like, no man, it's so influential for everybody, and whoever says they're never been affected or moved by something Stevie Ray Vaughan, I think they're lying. Personally,
but it's funny, isn't it? Because you talk about, a lot. There's a few guitarists that sort of had their careers, tragically cut really short, and never had an opportunity to do anything bad. So it's like there just isn't. Totally. There isn't really anything bad to go and listen to by Stevie Ray.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah, that's kind of where.
So we're kind of. Let's talk a little bit about, musically more recently. So how you met, I'm guessing you must have known Joey just from living around, living near him.
I've known Joey and his brother Dave for over a decade, maybe already 12 years. Like Winnipeg is such a small music scene in the community, and before the band, we've all been just sidemen for hire, jazz gig, cool. Country gig. I'm doing a lot of pop country gigs in Canada as a guitar player, and so we found ourselves on a lot of gigs together, and we all met backing up this pop singer girl, and we all hit it off pretty instantly. And Dave and I, his brother, had a trio for a while that was just like blues, R&B stuff, and everything is interchangeable. We'd always be playing with each other, subbing each other gigs, hanging out. Like we're all tight from the get-go. Yeah. So, I've known those guys for a while. So once the band started, it was, and like once we were able to start being on the road together, doing it like 200 days a year, 8 months of a year, it was like, cool. At least to be able to do this with your best pals it's special. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Let It Lie, because that was the. I think it probably, I can't remember if it was Nigel, our good friend Nigel from Sur. I can't remember if it was Nigel or somebody pinged me in the middle of last year. It was Nigel. He's literally saying, it was me. Pinged me this, you're going to love this album. It's right up your kind of street like that. So I listened to it. And not only did I this is the Let It Lie Brothers Landreth album. So not only am I like hooked immediately, it's gone around the office and then pretty quickly, like through the guitar playing, like all my sort of guitar playing Facebook friends, people who work in other stores or they work for manufacturers. Everybody was pretty much going, wow, this is amazing, like that.
Cool.
So then I just did this I just emailed whoever the management company were one day and just went, you've probably never heard of us, but we do these videos, if you're ever in the UK, would you come and be in one? And it was like, yeah. So it all happened, which was amazing, and got to meet Dave and Joey and go and see the band. Although unfortunately you weren't with.
Well,
the
that was
band,
that tour actually. I was so sad to not be there.
Yeah.
It was just the old case. Sometimes home needs you a bit more than the road does, and it was just a matter of that time. So.
But
I would have.
It was great and really interesting to hear about. Actually, that the album was quite old and that it had been through kind of one label and not really worked, and it hadn't really started to sort of happen until it had been re-released and done by. I think you'd done it through your own label by that time, hadn't you, or a smaller label?
Yeah.
But so I know the band is called Brothers Landreth, so there's a temptation to sort of assume it must all be about sort of Joey and Dave, but. You've obviously had quite a lot of creative input into, because I can see a lot of the guitar playing and the licks on there and the stuff that makes that album such a fantastic thing to listen to are, I'm watching you do all that stuff.
I should say, first of all, I didn't play on the record.
What?
Before the band played shows, really, they recorded the record. Just
really?
Joey and Dave and Ryan, the drummer. So I got on just after that. I wish I played on the record, but I'm actually not on it, and that's all Joey.
Wow.
It's amazing, But
so why do you? I mean, you're very like kindred kind of guitar players then, in the slide stuff and the
a lot of
chord stuff.
a lot of the same influences, and no matter what, like people rub off on you, and if you spend a lot of time with each other, with people, their tendencies, they're very similar. Actually, when we first started hitting the road. We would both play in open tuning because that's what he does, and I was doing it too because a lot of the parts are they're based around open tuning, which is like a lot more piano chord shapes than standard guitar, and we would be going to the same, like if you're playing in G, everyone's gonna go like these same tendencies in certain keys and tunings, and we would be doing that. It's like, oh man. So I was like, why don't I play in standard, and we're going to get these different colors completely separate off, and it turned into two different styles. Because I love to play slide.
Yeah.
I've always been playing slide, but I don't touch it in the band.
Oh, really?
And I just kind of do a different thing.
So Joey does the slide parts, and you're playing the kind of the sort of the open chords and the.
Yeah, and we trade off. Like in the live show, it's kind of like a 50-50 on parts, and we join up a lot. We do a lot of interplay stuff and trade off. And I go more with like a finger style, more traditional thing. And it's nice because it's two completely different worlds, and it's not the same thing from two different people all the time.
It's a great chemistry. I mean, from the YouTube videos that I've seen where the band's done some shows, and you add. You certainly add something to that band. It's just it's a beautiful noise. I know we sound like there's half a dozen of us, in the UK that are real kind of like, Brothers Landreth kind of evangelists. So hopefully, if you've not gone and listened to the album, go and listen to it. It's a beautiful album. grab a guitar that's in an open tuning and let's talk about some slidey stuff, because
Sure.
I know, you know, if we can maybe impart some kind of cool slidey licks to the guys watching, I know they'll appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And tell us about your slide as well, because you have a signature slide.
I have a signature slide. This is made by my friend Danny Songhurst from the Rock Slide, and he makes fantastic slides. And this is my own signature. Basically, I have really, as you can see, I have like really pencil thin fingers. I don't have like chunky man hands. They're long fingers, but they're long, but they're not thick.
That's just, it's fine. I think people know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Because you play, it's quite unusual to see. That's almost like a lap steel kind of bar, isn't it? With the end on it.
Yeah, the ball tip is something I've never used playing slide. I used to play on my ring finger actually.
Yeah.
And you know, it was cozy, and you could do stuff. You could like. You could incorporate your pinky, and then I just started gravitating towards the pinky with the slide on, and the ball tip. I'm sorry, I got lost there. The ball tip, Danny just had a couple lying around one day, because whenever we'd go play in Seattle or Vancouver or Portland, we'd always stay. He lives in Spokane, Washington, so we would always crash at his house, and it's like slide heaven. He just like opens the door, and it's like, you know, it's like. In movies when you open a room full of gold and it's like shining against you, it's like all these slides. It's beautiful. So he's like, try these out.
And yours is a lighter weight than Joey's one, isn't it? Because I know Joey's is really quite heavy, and it's got the little groove, because he kind of plays almost with his third and fourth fingers.
Yeah.
Kind of as one, doesn't he?
That's right. So this has got it's got the groove still. That's like the signature, the rock slide thing. This is a small size. Like
right.
They've got small, medium.
But it's quite lightweight, isn't it?
It's quite lightweight, yeah.
If you're not sort of used to playing slides, some of the bigger slides can almost feel uncomfortably heavy, can't they? But give us a little kind of show us a cool lick with the slide. Then I like the stuff as well where you kind of you create like the beginning of a chord or whatever, and then you'll sort of slide over it.
Oop. I kind of like the sound we got earlier there.
Does the ball tip kind of help? Because I noticed there, obviously, as you're playing that, you're leaving your bottom three strings open.
Yeah.
So you're obviously very gradually or very sort of subtly angling the slide over.
Yeah,
So it's the
I
ball
find
tip.
with regular slides, when you're doing that, you get a lot of like hitting against it.
Right.
And with the ball tip, it's more like you can actually slide diagonally against the string. So it actually it's not cheating, but it kind of helps.
Yeah.
And it adds a nicer color, because sometimes like you couldn't normally slide on the low E string like I just did.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sliding an A chord on the fifth and fourth string, I'm rubbing against the low six, and it's still making noise.
Sounds cool.
And I like a slide to be, as I've gone through so many different kinds to find the one that fits for me, and I like to think of it as an extension. It's like your finger. You know, I think a lot of people tend to, oh yeah, cool, slide, and it's too big on them, but they don't realize, and they're like, yeah, I kind of stink at slide, but it's like, actually, I think you just haven't played the right one, and you haven't thought of the size.
I think I can't play. You and Joey have both got this really deft kind of technique where you're able to play slide on a guitar with like a regular action. I can't. I think because I'm not a big slide player, but I need something where the big string height, so that I can push quite hard against the strings with the slide to feel like I'm in contact with the strings.
Yeah.
But
I definitely prefer that too. I mean, this
action.
guitar is actually set up. The action's a little higher, and I love that. I love a guitar that you have to fight a bit.
Yeah.
I don't like to play anything lower than 11s.
Right.
But I have a couple guitars back home that are, anywhere from like 14 to 54 gauge, and then 19 to 62. And basically, you just get the lowest, biggest.
You can't possibly be tuning those to any
open C,
right.
C, yeah.
So what's your top?
Joey does the same thing.
A 19 gauge. Top string.
Yeah. So you like. You do that, and it's like there's so much body in that one note. It's crazy. And I have it set up on a Telecaster.
Right.
And I've never heard a fatter sounding telly. It's incredible.
I think we should take a tour through Ariel's guitar collection.
Oh yeah.
Of, you know, so let's just talk gear, because I know everybody will be kind of gear nerding out on this. And we went into the store, and it was like supermarket sweep or whatever the equivalent of that is. It
was heaven.
It was like, so I know you picked 3 guitars because you kind of like the look of them. But let's talk about, because none of these are Ariel's guitars. But let's talk about your own guitar collection and why you own them
I have a handful of guitars, and I've always been I haven't been super monogamous. You know what I mean? Some people are like, this is my workhorse. Yeah. This one does it all. I believe in that. But
I think it's unhealthy.
I think it's
in a guitar sense, obviously.
I mean, I get it, but I'd rather use each one to its potential. And I look at each guitar having a specific use. This one does that really well. This one not so much, but it does this thing well. Yeah, that kind of thing. So
isn't that where? I mean, I always if I need to break out of a if I need to break out of a like an avenue that I've gone down and playing wise, it's all getting stale and I can't.
Yeah.
It's just just go and pick a different guitar up.
It inspires you in a different way. Well, just like these three. I mean, these are three completely different guitars.
Yeah.
And each one speaks to me in a different way. Like
they did a thing, didn't they? So so what have we got then?
So my I have a Sir Classic Antique S that I've been using that I really love. And I grew up.
Is that the white? Is it a white one?
Olympic white. Yeah,
I've seen that. That's a beauty.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I grew up. My first real guitar after the Ibanez was a Mexican Strat, rosewood neck, black with the white picker standard.
The Ibanez is a real guitar.
Yeah, it was a real guitar. It was sad to have to go to a Strat.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the Sir is great.
Yeah.
A Collings SoCo Deluxe, which is I'd say in between a 335 and a Les Paul in size.
Yeah. Semi-acoustic though.
Semi-acoustic.
I don't know that terribly well. So
sounds incredible. A lot like a 335. Mm-hmm. And then the guitar, I said I wasn't monogamous really, but the guitar that's been with me most consistently in the last few years it's always been on the road with me. It's been a bit on it's been on a bit of a sabbatical currently, but it's my 335. I have this blonde natural wood 335. I think it's a custom shop, like the Memphis custom shop. It's a 63.
Okay.
I acquired it a few years ago. I was playing the Country Music Awards in Edmonton, and Gibson Canada had a showroom always, and I was there playing a gig, and I was like, man, that guitar, something about it, and I played it. And
I don't know what it is about the 335. It's like so many. I mean, I've got to get back. I was playing mine at home literally over the weekend and thinking I must restring this and give this guitar some love. But so many players, they call it the kind of it's just the do-it-all guitar, isn't it? And
it really is, and I didn't think it was.
No, because you sort of think about it's you see lots of old rock and rollers playing it and jazzers kind of playing it and stuff like that. But it actually so many session guys just go no, it's the one that does everything. You just go,
you don't really realize it until you try it and get deep into it. I mean, I have that thing dialed in where it's like every little nudge on the volume or the tone is like I just know is a different color. We were talking about where you're playing it. You really it's just beaming with tone and sound and character.
That was my favorite sounds. Well, I liked them all, but the one that I think the little segment that you did with that, and you just go, if I had to go, what's the sound that you want when it's just a guitar into a valve amplifier? And I know we had a nice drive pedal, but it wasn't. It was really just a sort of it's like a salt and pepper drive pedal, isn't it? It's not like a chili sauce drive pedal.
Exactly, yeah.
But it just sounded great, and you seem to be able to command so many different voices just through subtle nuances in the playing.
Thanks. A 335 is like home to me. It feels like home, and it helps me. It's not for everybody, Yeah. I truly.
Some people find it just too big, don't they?
Totally.
I think that's probably my problem. Is I don't truly sit comfortably with it.
Yeah.
But I think I've just got to play it more and just
I stick my arm out a lot when I play for some reason, and it sits perfectly on a 335. Like an SG, I've owned SGs before, and they are so uncomfortable. I love how they sound.
Yeah.
I wish I could be comfortable, but like they're so long, and they always do that thing when you.
Yeah, although again, that's the one guitar I got to buy an SG soon. 'Cause every time I play one, I fall in love with it.
They're incredible. They're amazing.
I need to buy one.
Oh man, and you hear people play them. And we were I got to play a 64 SG yesterday with a vibrola.
Oh, are you going to name drop? Should we just do a massive clang
name
where yesterday?
Okay, I was hanging out with a fine fella named Paul Stacey.
Clang. Yes, he has some guitars and
he's got some guitars. Oh my God! So yeah, the '64 SG was incredible. Through a Roland Cube, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
Honestly, Ariel showed me some stuff on his iPhone of him and Paul Stacey jamming yesterday, and I swear if I put this up on YouTube, you'd all be going, "Oh, Paul's playing a Matchless, or he's playing a Fender Twin, or da da da." And it's like, no, it's a Roland Cube.
Literally a Roland Cube.
There you go.
Not even that loud, It was just, it's crazy. So I wish I could play. I wish I could feel comfortable like I do on a 335 with an SG, but I just can't.
So we got the Sir, the Collings, the 335.
Yeah, I have a
Strats. Any Strats, or is that where the Sir kind of ticks that box?
No, I have an Eric Johnson Strat, which I've had for a long time, which I bought because I really like the huge neck.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's probably, I would say that's probably the only or one of a tiny number of signature Strats that we've had where 99% of people bought those because it was a great guitar. It was like almost, you know, I think a lot of them didn't even realize it was a signature Strat, and they really nailed that. Is it the maple one or the rosewood with the binding?
Maple.
The maple,
black with the maple.
That was the popular one.
Yeah. And then I have a. It's actually, there's a good story to it. It's a custom shop 68 or 69 burst heavy relict Strat with like Abbey wound pickups. It sounds incredible. And when I first saw it, I don't know what you have here, but in Canada, it's like Craigslist Kijiji is what they have. And I saw this guitar. It was in Ontario. It was beautiful. You know, it wasn't cheap, but it was not. It was a steal.
Big headstock? Is that the 69? It's the big headstock 69,
Yeah. And I've seen, like, you know, I'm a huge Mike Landau fan.
Right.
Hendrix, I remember seeing those. I love that. So I wanted it so badly. So I reach out to the guy. Hey, you know, you typically like, can I get some more info? Would you chop $100 off or something?
Can I take my kidney in part exchange?
Yeah. Well, funny side note, Winnipeg is like, it's so, everyone's trying to get a deal always. Right. It's like a garage sale. They're like, yeah, can I throw in a set of skis with that and call it a deal? It's like, no, God, come on. So I, you know, got in touch with him and sure, man, sounds good. And I was right in the middle of moving into a new place. So I didn't have the scratch. The last thing I should have done was buy a guitar. So I said,
I know somebody like that. Hello. Forever buying guitars.
Forever buying guitars. Yeah. So it really stung. It was like, it truly felt like the guitar that got away.
Yeah.
And, you know, months went by and I'd periodically be checking. I wonder if something else will ever come up like that. And about 7 months later, I check again and Ontario, very similar looking guitar.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you know, I was like, is this available? Can I get some more info? Sure, yeah, it's the Abbey pickups, 68 or 69, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was like, man, did you happen to buy this off a guy in Barrie, I think it was? Yeah, he's a dentist who didn't want it, and I have it now. I'm not super crazy. I'm like, man, I was gonna buy that guitar, and he was gonna sell it to me for, like, he was asking way more. This guy, he's like, the dude who originally sold it, he was gonna sell it to me for this price, and the guy said, yeah, so let's do it. So I got it.
Happy days.
Happy days. So that was a rare event. So those two Strats I have, and I have that Telly I was telling you about, which is just like a 61 American custom with the white binding.
Yep.
And I have a Warmoth neck on it, and that's an open C with the heavy strings. It's a fantastic recording and live guitar. Just a character guitar. Yeah. I have a Nash Tellymaster, T-Master, which is like the two-tone Jazzmaster body with the Telly pickups.
Any nice acoustics, or are you a big acoustic player?
Yeah, I am. I have I bought it in 2012. I've gone through a lot of different ones, but I have a Martin D28 V, HD V.
All roads lead to a D28 eventually, don't they?
Do. I'm a huge bluegrass fan, Dreadnought fan, so I needed to have one. So I have that, and I just acquired, actually, it's a sub company through Collings, is Waterloo guitars.
Oh yeah, they look great.
Yeah, so
I like those. Well, I like the look of them. I've never tried one. They look cool.
It's a Waterloo WL14, so like 14 fret, and it's a ladder brace, so it sounds like a 1930s old parlor guitar.
Somewhere here. Is my D35 here somewhere? Oh. Maybe we'll have a bit of playing at the end, just so you can have a strum on the bit.
Love to.
It's a 1972 complete canon of a.
I'd love to.
Sounds great.
I'd love to. Yeah, that's most of them. I have a Gretsch Country Gentleman Junior, which I don't make anymore.
Yeah, was it like a 3/4 body size?
Exactly, and it's actually got F holes. It's not
okay,
painted ones.
Painted on, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
There's another guitar that, again, if you don't have a proper Gretsch,
I know
there's a sound that you'll never get from any other guitar.
Exactly. I've always wanted a White Falcon, but I have that one. And
it's pretty bling, isn't it? The White Falcon.
It's a little bling.
I'd go Country Gent over.
Yeah, it's a little gold chain necklace for me, but it's amazing, and they sound incredible.
They've got a sound for sure.
Yeah.
And amps and pedals wise, I mean, what do you?
Yeah, for amps, I have one of these, a Victory V40, which is incredible. I'm not just saying that because it's behind me. I've been using it since I got to Cork in Ireland, and it's my only amp. And I've taken it to a jazz gig, I've taken it to club gigs, and I've recorded with it at home. I have a 2 notes Torpedo Live.
Oh, brilliant!
So I just run the head right through it, and it's incredible. I love Fender amps.
Yeah, because what's Joey got? The old 60 is a deluxe, isn't it? Has he got an old deluxe?
He's got a deluxe amp, so the no reverb.
That's right.
Yeah, and I have a 1964 deluxe reverb.
Right.
And it's like the real deal, and it sounds And I've taken it on the road. It's like it's been in the van.
And
and it took a beating.
Yeah.
So I had to stop taking it on the road.
I think that's the problem. I know certainly that's the appeal of these so much is they're just a great working gigging compact.
Incredible. And I love basically at my apartment I need to walk through a little courtyard that's about maybe 50 meters or it's a walk with gear.
Yeah.
So the fact that I can wear that on my shoulder, have my guitar on my back, it's incredible. I'm all about the one trip, and I can do the one trip with it.
For sure. And pedals wise, what because I love your guitar sound, and I kind of see it as this sort of I get the impression that pedals for you are just about making small, subtle enhancements to the tone rather than...
for sure. I should preface by saying that for amps, I've tried like all the crazy... I used to own a couple of Fuchs amps and Carol Ann and Three Monkeys.
Diplomatically pronounced. Well done.
Three Monkeys, Top Hat. Like I've owned all these boutique amps, and I always keep coming back to Fender, which is like just so basic to me, but it's what I feel comfortable on. So with the pedals, the Fender I find is just it's like a clean slate.
Yeah.
And I lately I've been really enjoying the King of Tone, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Which I got one for my 30th birthday this year from my
cool.
wife, which was ace.
She must be a very organised lady.
She knows.
Presumably, like what is it, like a year, maybe more waiting list.
Totally
Insane.
Incredible.
We're very lucky. We have Danish Pete's one on the floor here,
and it sounds incredible.
Yeah, I need to. I don't know. I need to. I haven't found that. I haven't found that magic moment yet with the King of Tone, and yet I'm in a total minority, as I think I'm the only person I know that hasn't had that magic moment yet. I need to try it more, but or just order one maybe. Yeah. And then by the time I've been waiting a year, I'll have convinced myself it's the best pedal ever.
Yeah. So I've been working with a few companies. So I was working a little. I was using a lot of JHS for a while.
Very
so
cool.
I was using like the Morning Glory, the Superbolt, the Charlie Brown, the Prestige. I loved those. J Rocket pedals I was using. So like the Archer, the Blue Note.
The Dude.
I've tried a Dude. I don't own one.
Right.
Incredible.
That's into that sounds.
Oh my god.
Fantastic.
That is an amazing pedal. What else? I'm just drawing a quick.
Didn't you have the what's the Greek Mythos? Is it Mythos?
Oh yes, Mythos.
Mythos.
Yeah,
I know Joey had a.
Yeah, that's our friend Zach Broyles in Nashville.
Right.
Lovely guy, and he builds his own pedals, and he does a Klon, he does a Blues Breaker, and that's what I have. It's called the Mythos Daedalus.
Right.
Daedalus? I don't know how to pronounce it. And it sounds like an old Blues Breaker pedal. It really stacks well with other pedals. I actually have it. It's with me in Ireland. That one goes everywhere with me just in case. Yeah. Incredible. He's amazing, and he'll build you whatever you want.
Right.
I want an octave fuzz. Okay. It's like I want a tube screamer. Anything. He'll do it.
Do you do anything that's maybe pedal-wise? Is there anything on the board that's a little bit more out there? You know, I mean, do you like an octave fuzz or anything like that?
Oh yeah, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I mean, I've had like the full tones, octave fuzz and stuff. I have a Function FX cluster fuzz. I think it's right there. Incredible.
Which we haven't sold that many of, which I'm surprised because I still to this day reckon it's the best fuzz I've used all year.
Incredible, incredible. I really like it.
There is a demo on our channel, I think, of it somewhere with Mick and Pete.
Check it out.
It's really cool.
It's a really cool pedal, and it's so versatile for a fuzz. I have a Chicago Iron like Tycho Habre Octavian. It's like an Octavian Plus.
I know that one.
It's like the standard Octavian, but you can switch between octave fuzz and fuzz. So you rather than having two different pedals, you know, it's great. And Thorpe, Adrian's pedals, incredible. Yeah. I've been
well, you've been hearing
hearing the Peacekeeper.
Yeah,
which is lovely, and I haven't stepped on it yet. The Warthog.
Oh, that's fruity. But yeah, Peacekeeper we've kind of had as like the always-on pedal, haven't we?
Yeah, it hasn't been turned off.
Fatness.
Yeah, I have a gunshot, the Thorpe gunshot at home, and it's like a Marshall on steroids. And it was like, oh, the first time I plugged it in, I actually posted a little Instagram video of I was trying out the Victory. I had just settled into my place, so the Peacekeeper, the gunshot with the Function FX. And actually a Nick Greer Lightspeed. He's a guy out of Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
And yeah, fantastic pedals as well. Kind of like an organic. And those three together, but especially that gunshot was like exploding with tone. Just so touch sensitive and lyrical, and I just had it.
Well,
so those are overdrives.
Yes. Yeah, so is that kind of that would make up the bulk of your pedal board?
Yeah, I'm not a big like actual effects guy anymore. I used to have, you know, Leslie chorus.
Do you find, because I mean obviously one of the things on your deluxe reverb will be this epic reverb.
Yes.
So if you're you know, do you have like a Blue Sky or you know, like a is that your thing? Or
yes, I have a Flint, a Strymon Flint, which is incredible, especially for flyouts and backline gigs, because you never know. I don't usually use the reverb unless, you know, it's like a backline amp, no reverb, or reverb goes down. I use a Timeline and El Capistan as well, fantastic. But I actually have a Victoria Reverberato, which is like the tank.
This is the one that have you and Joey both got one then? Because this is
just I just have one.
Because he was asking. Funnily enough, I know when he was last here, he wanted to ask Victory if they would make. Because they were sort of saying it's the kind of a similar like size, and I'd never even heard of one. So I looked it up on the internet, and it was like, it was this kind of
it's like a gun case, like an ammunition. So Blake Mills uses one of those, I think.
Right.
And it's like the same size. It's like an ammunition gun case or ammo case.
It's a real old vibrato and reverb.
But mine isn't his older model, which is like looks like a Fender tweed head, and it's this long. It's huge, and every time I'm taking it, I'm like, oh man. Why am I doing this? And then I get it set up, and it's like...
It's just the only sound.
It's the only sound. Yeah. So it's like amazing reverb, tube reverb, and harmonic tremolo, which is my favorite trem. And essentially what the Flint does. So I love the Flint. Flint is amazing, and arguably like one of the best deals that you could get on a pedal, because the reverbs are great. You get so many different tremolos, but the Victoria kind of makes the Flint sound like a toy.
But it is.
When you get the real
Victoria
deal.
Was like 5 times the price and
size
as well,
and 100 times the size.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for kind of, you know, coming in and taking us through your sort of gear and doing some playing, which is absolutely fantastic.
Pleasure.
But so what's the future now going to hold? You know, because is there another album coming from Brothers Landreth, or have you got other irons in the fire? You know, where are we going?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I literally just moved. I'm still settling in. I still haven't even gotten my debit card yet, my bank card. From the band just finished the cycle, and we're going to take some time off. So you can call it a hiatus, or you can call it a sabbatical, or a long break. We won't be having anything for a while. Maybe some stuff in the new year. Hopefully a new record. down the road.
Some more dates in the UK.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Very disappointed that you've not been back since the last time. But
yes, absolutely. So for me, I'm just I've got some stuff back home. I do some producing and a lot of songwriting. So I with technology these days, you can keep that going from anywhere, from abroad.
Yeah.
So I'm doing some of that. I'm gigging in Ireland, and I hope to be spending a lot more time here and just doing anything.
Who'd like to see Ariel on some episodes of Guitar Paradiso if we can make that happen? Comment if you'd like that. I'll see what I can do. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been thank you so much for having
honestly,
me.
Man, I don't know what it is about you Winnipegians, but you all seem very nice and very talented. I hope you guys have enjoyed a little, brief interview with Ariel here. And if you want to find out more about him, I'll put a link to his social media stuff below and a link to the band as well. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. All right,
thank you.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you.